Hello and welcome back to the KCC channel. I'm Rob and I hope you are having a wonderful day today. Today, we're jumping into some ProRevenge. Before we start, if you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It's completely free and you can always change your mind later. But if you stick around, you just might learn how to deal with anybody who does you wrong. Alright, our first story today comes to us from Reddit admin Dumb87. It's so true. How I got a car dealership to give my friend a newer car. Let's jump right in. Circa 2020 January, my friend makes a stupid decision and buys a brand new car he can't afford. His insurance is like $400 a month. He makes like $10.25 an hour working as a shift supervisor at McDonald's. His car payment is like $7.95 a month. Now, at $10.25 an hour, 30 hours a week, that's a weekly income of about $300 a week, or about $1,230 a month. So yeah. So my friend came to me for help because I used to sell cars and know the industry pretty well. I go over his paperwork. The dealer did rip him off, but my friend is trying to find a way to get out of this mess. And ripping someone off isn't illegal. They did of course overcharge him for warranty, they gave him a higher APR, they had add-ons, etc. But none of that is illegal, and I know the only way I can get my friend out of this deal is if they did something illegal. So I look at his finance application that my friend signed. It correctly listed his income, which turned a light bulb on in my head. No bank is going to approve someone for a $795 car payment if they're only making $1,200 a month. It does not make mathematical sense to do that. So I started searching through his paperwork for the finance app the dealer submitted to the bank. Oftentimes, when you submit a finance application at a dealership, the dealership will take the hand-filled out application and reproduce it electronically. This is pretty normal. However, on the application the dealer submitted to the bank, the dealer said my friend was a GM of the McDonald's and made $70,000. My friend had good credit, so it doesn't appear like the bank asked for proof of income. So I go to the dealership with my friend and tell the sales manager he's going to want to put me in touch with the GM because we were going to be unwinding my friend's deal and giving his trade-in back. The sales manager thought I was joking. The general manager also thought I was joking. Then I demonstrated how his dealership's finance department committed bank fraud. I showed the GM the finance app my friend filled out. I then showed the GM the finance app his dealership submitted to the bank and pointed at the income difference. My friend really made $14,000 a year. The dealership claimed my friend made $70,000 a year. That's bank fraud. That's a felony. Let's keep this simple, shall we? The GM sees his dealership is in a load of crap. The proof I am presenting to him is rock solid. He knows it, I know it, we are all on the same page. He goes, okay, so what can I do to make this right? I go, unwind the deal, give my friend his trade-in back. Unwinding the deal is basically the GM agreeing to cancel the deal and basically erasing the deal and pretending it never happened. GM tries to avoid that, but I remain firm and remind him we can easily take this documentation and turn his life into a living heck. He knows I'm right. My friend also needs a car to get to work the next day. The GM says he'll check into it. He comes back and tells me, unfortunately, they sold his trade-in already. I said, that's fine. Unwind the deal and let's put my friend into something as good or slightly better than what he traded in for. So the GM goes, so he'll buy a car similar to his trade-in? I said, no, you'll give him a car similar to his trade-in. The GM goes, it doesn't work that way. I go, it does when you commit bank fraud. GM is upset with me. I remind him I'm being really nice and this situation can totally get really ugly. Like felony level charges ugly. Like losing your franchise ugly. So yeah, this is going to hurt, but it's going to hurt less my way. So the GM goes, alright, and he looks into his inventory and tells me they have a 2007 Focus with 10,000 more miles. I tell him, no, the car you give my friend needs to be the same or better than what he traded in. The GM counters, I'm giving him a free car. And I go, no, you took in his trade, you sold it, you made money on that sale, you also committed a felony in the process of selling him his new car. You are now correcting that mistake. This isn't a free car from my friend, this is a you are correcting your mistake. GM insists that's what he's willing to do, and I tell him if he can't do better than that, we will go to a consumer protection attorney and have a conversation with them. My friend didn't want to go this route, but it was our plan B. We go to get up, the GM says, "Wait, give me a second." The GM goes, "I have an '08 Civic, it has 5k more miles, but it's a Civic, not a Focus. I unwind the deal on the new car, you put your friend in the Civic at no extra cost." We agree. GM has the paper drawn up, the old loan on the new car is cancelled, they take in the new car again, but because it's already titled, they'll have to sell it as used, that sucks for them. And they gave my friend a better car than the one he traded in. For people asking why we didn't get a lawyer involved from the start, we could have done that, but courts take a long time, and this was a faster way to fix the situation. Okay, OP, I can understand that you wanted a fast way to fix this situation, but unfortunately, the dealer is going to do this again to someone else, probably that same day, if you don't report this to the proper authorities. I would definitely still take that paperwork, and I'd go straight to the media with it. I mean, yes, you can go to the proper authorities and they'll get a fine and maybe possibly get their dealership shut down, but probably not, and they'll still be able to do this to other people. If you go to the media and it gets out to millions of people in the local area, well, you're going to tank their business. That's a better way to take them down. In the end, I guess you got what you want, but I just can't help but feel that you could have gotten so much more. Our next story today comes to us from Neither Glove 4355. Brother ruined my wedding by proposing, so I ruined his proposal. Let's jump right in. I, 35 male, have a younger brother Todd, 29 male, who had a complicated birth and had to stay a month in the ICU. And because of that, my parents have always doted on him and almost denied him nothing, even if it was to the detriment of my sister Abby, 32 female, and I. My brother drinks in on the attention and has on more than one occasion made himself the center of attention at either my sister's, or a cousin's special event. Because of this, Abby and I have a strained relationship with Todd and our parents. Unfortunately, Todd met and fell in love with Lucy, 24 female, who announced her own pregnancy at the baby shower my mom held for Abby. When I proposed to my wife, Michelle, 30 female, I just wanted to elope, but she really wanted her family to be there, so I invited my family out of obligation. While out, my best man Jim, 35 male, noticed a receipt from a jewelry store slipped out of Todd's pocket. Jim confronted Todd about this, which led to an argument. Jim told me everything and I told Todd that he was no longer going to be a groomsman because I knew he was going to propose at my wedding. Todd cried to our parents, and which led to a blowout. In my parents' eyes, since Todd never admitted that he was going to propose to Lucy at my wedding, I was unfairly judging him. I refused and brought up Todd's past behavior. My parents couldn't refute this and got Todd to agree not to try anything at my wedding. This wasn't enough to convince me to let him be a groomsman, but I warned him that if, as a guest, he'd try anything, I would make him regret it. Fast forward to the wedding, and surprise, surprise, Todd walked over to Lucy and proposed to her during Michelle's father-daughter dance, and did it in a way so that everyone would notice. Cue my revenge. Jim and I had hired a woman to pretend to be Todd's side piece, who cornered Todd and Lucy and claimed that she was pregnant with his baby. Todd denied this, but when she called his phone, I gave her his number and messed with Todd's phone to incriminate him. It didn't look good. Lucy threw the ring back at Todd and left in tears. When Todd saw the smile on my face, he knew that it was me, and I didn't respond to a single call or text from him or my parents until after the honeymoon. Lucy has thrown Todd's stuff out and has been denying access to their kid. Todd is furious and is demanding that I clear his name. I sent him a text saying that I had no idea what he was talking about, as well as a screenshot of a bill for the wedding, and gave a vague message demanding reimbursement for half of the wedding costs. Michelle knew the whole time what I was planning and gave me the green light after Todd ruined her moment with her dad, so I felt pretty good, but now even Abby thinks I went too far. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, there's one from a user called Is It Supposed to Do That? That says, your family is effed up. There's another comment right below that one from a user called Life with No Filter that says, like, really effed up. Would not want to be involved in a relationship dynamic like that, jeez. And one more below that from the Jace, it says, yeah, I've met some effed up families, but why do these people even still talk to each other? They would all be better off just by cutting each other out of their lives. This all goes back to a thing that I've heard before, and I firmly believe you can't choose your biological relatives, but you can choose your family. You honestly have no obligation to keep these people in your life if you don't want to. We all need to remember that if you step back and look at it, life is extremely short. And what's the point of going through it dealing with crap like that all the time when you could just cut them out and have a much better life because of it? Sometimes you just need to do things that benefit yourself, or in the case of OP, benefit yourself and your new wife and any kids you may have in the future. Our next story today comes to us from Dean of GCC. How I got my landlord arrested for auto theft. Let's jump right in. I used to live in a rental townhome. The place was great. It was run by a big company, but they paid an on-site super to run the office, coordinate repairs, etc. When I moved in, it was this nice older retired couple. Few years later, they moved on and the company hired these two young dudes. They were buttholes. Recent college grads who looked down on the blue-collar tenants, did loud parties all night, generally ignored the grounds, ignored maintenance requests, etc. But that's not how I got them arrested. In addition to renting the townhouse, you could rent a covered spot. If you did, they gave you a hang tag, and if you didn't have the hang tag, you'd get towed. I had the same car, same spot, and same tag the whole time I lived there. One day, I come out and my car is gone. It was towed for no hang tag, but in the pictures the tow company took, it's clearly there. I paid to get it out and complained to the two idiots. They had to call to authorize a tow, company couldn't just do it on their own. They gave me a half-butt apology. About a week later, same problem. Again, towed for no tag. Again, tag's right there. This time, I called the corporate office and complained. After that, it started happening nearly every day. When I talked to the supers about it, they'd just laugh. I knew they were doing it on purpose, so I did some research. The tow company gave me the names of the people who called it in, and it was mostly one guy, but some the other. The tow company wasn't liable because the landlords had called them, so that was out. But I did some research and found out that in my state, calling for a tow when you know it's not a legal tow is grand theft auto, just like if you broke into a car. I also found out you can record conversations in my state without telling the other person. So I went in to meet the two bros to talk about the situation. They told me, on tape, that the first two times were mistakes, but after that they did it on purpose and would keep doing so until I learned my lesson. They stated that they knew I was okay to park there, but they didn't care. I took that recording and the list of calls to a buddy who's an attorney, and he helped me take it to the local police. Police were more than happy to have a couple felony charges dropped into their laps, so they filed charges and went to arrest them. Corporate fired them the same day, refunded all of my fees for getting my car out of Hawk, and gave me a rental discount for a few months. They both ended up eating the felony and got probation. Last I heard, they weren't able to find decent jobs because of the felonies, and also couldn't pay their student loans. Both ended up working construction, which they'd sneered at because that's all they had left. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, there's one from a user called Photonics Guy. It says, so if they kept on getting the car towed, were they charged with multiple thefts of the same vehicle or just a single theft? OP responded to this comment and said, each tow was a separate charge. The cops were happy that they said the first two were mistakes, but the rest were deliberate because they each got hit with all the counts they called in on. I think one guy got 7 and the other got 3. They each pled down to 1. I'm guessing in this case that OP actually did the corporate company a favor by getting these people charged. I'm sure they had many complaints about what these people were doing, but didn't have anything rock solid that they could fire them over, and were just waiting for that one thing to come in where they could say, yep, that's enough, and get those two guys out of there. One final point though about the two guys now being in the construction business, you know, something that they sneered at previously. Do you think they're gonna do a good enough job there as well? Would you want to live or work in something they built? I don't think so. Our last story today comes to us from Reddit's fan 9000. Terrorize my family, enjoy losing everything, and going back to jail. Let's jump right in. Myself and my wife had just had our second child and moved into a duplex in an amazing neighborhood. Had its own playground even. We moved in and greeted the neighbors, bunch of younger people, but they seemed okay. The first day after moving in, we find that they're gone, and they've left their 7-year-old on a school day outside our door with a bag of goldfish and a note asking us to watch him while they went out. Cue CPS call number 1. The neighbors and me got along really well. Old guy next door repaired bikes for a hobby, and the next door neighbor did woodworking and would always come over to see the kids and sent his grandkids over to play too. They warned us that our upstairs neighbors were trouble, constant traffic going in and out, and parties every single night. This was 110% the truth. It got to the point where we couldn't sleep at night, and we had multiple altercations, to the point it was full-blown yelling matches. The landlord was useless and would do nothing to get rid of them, so I bided my time. Eventually, one night, they came home in their red Mazda 3 and it was destroyed. They must have hit someone and ran. So I called the RCMP to let them know, as at the very least, I'd figured they'd get in deep crap. But oh man, I had no idea what I'd just unleashed. Turns out the douchebag had a warrant out for his arrest for illicit substance trafficking. He got hauled away in cuffs that night, and Entitled Woman 2 got a visit from CPS again, as they left their son home alone again. This wasn't once or twice, it was every single day. So my wife went digging for names and found the mother on Facebook. Using public record searches, we found out that they owed Easy Home nearly $48,000 in assets, as they had taken off from the original address with all of their furniture, including TVs and a huge sound system. 48 hours later, the sheriff was there with a box truck emptying their house, took the beds, couches, TVs, the annoying subwoofer system, kitchen set, and even the dressers. CPS came shortly after and removed the child from the house. I didn't enjoy seeing him taken away, but they never fed him, and he was always in the same clothing, and it was falling apart. We went out of our way to make sure he had full meals when we could, not gonna let a kid starve. The douchebag went to jail for illicit substance possession. He was out on bail and hid the substances in a dresser they took. Entitled Woman 1 went to jail for assaulting the sheriff, and Entitled Woman 2 actually had a happy ending. Far as I know, after she lost her son, she went through multiple programs to clean herself up and started working to provide for her son. Ran into her a couple years ago and she thanked me for what I did. I got ProRevenge on the illicit substances dealer and his girlfriend, and thankfully helped someone get on the right path. Okay, so one thing here, I used to work for Easy Home, and I can tell you for sure that we never would have given out $40-something thousand worth of stuff to one family. That just wouldn't happen. It wouldn't matter how high your income was, that just wouldn't happen. Even if you outfit a complete apartment with appliances, bedroom sets, dining room stuff, and basically anything else that Easy Home offered, I would hazard a guess that you wouldn't get above 15 grand. But that's neither here nor there. OP, it sounds to me like you were trying to do the best thing for the kid in this situation. And that gets some massive respect from me. Not too many stories we have on here end up with the recipient of the revenge coming back to thank you in the end and turning their lives around. So that was a welcome surprise. Thank you, OP. Check out all 4 OPs linked in the description down below. I thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.